What's up, Black Comic Lords? Man, oh man, oh man. This is the latest episode of StormWatch, our monthly wrap-up chat show where you get to question Murewa Ayodele about his book. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been it's been an hectic week, let's just say.
To say the least. I've been looking at the Twitters and the internet. You blew up the place. Antoine, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Like you said, it's been hectic.
So, Murewa, I can imagine, because I know you write these books months in advance. On the day you decided to wake up in Nigeria and write Storm issue number 3, you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, "Today, I choose violence."
No, it was nothing like that.
All right. So obviously, this is there's a instance in this book which we'll get into, which caused a big stir, and it's a shame in a way because the book itself is fantastic. And I mean, other than this one page, the rest, people are ignoring the fact the rest of the book is actually absolutely fantastic in terms of first starting with the art. Lucas Wernick, Chef's Kiss, that guy is a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going off about his last issue. This issue was even better than that. But dude just keeps getting better and better. And then you're expanding the universe and the world building, new characters. Let's just jump into it.
Yes, let's jump into it. Let's not delay the people.
Dr. Wizard, pull up our first slide here. All right, so let's start with the covers. Storm's got a bunch of dope covers. Shout out to Mateus Manahini. Every cover he has done for this series has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
I still salivate over the last one he did on issue number 2. That was a fantastic cover. I don't know what to say about this. It's just you're killing the game. You're killing the game. But going on the interiors, why don't you give us first, before we get there, a recap as to what's going on, what happened in last issue, and where are we going before we start into this issue?
Okay, so I'm really happy that I think I've seen a couple of comments online of people going back to read from issue 1 to 3, and one person was able to get the title of the entire first arc itself. That the entire first arc has been about death. From the first issue. The first issue is basically about this big cataclysm that happens in Oklahoma. And because of these shock waves, she almost dies because of a shrapnel that hits close to her heart, but just about up of her shoulder, but she survives it. And then she gets radiation poisoning. And then she struggles with it in issue number 2. And then she finally gets a cure in issue number 3. We'll get there. So it's basically a struggle with death. And we see that struggle continue as she solves one problem, the death and the threat of death continues. So the story is basically how she's struggling with being the mutant ambassador of the whole world, the protector of Earth, trying to be this solo superhero, at the same time struggling with the big cosmic destiny that wants to take her life. And so that's where we are before we enter this issue. And Dr. Voodoo is the person to help her with her radiation poisoning. And that's where we start.
All right. To the chat. First of all, I didn't even say hi to you guys. Welcome to the chat. You guys are going off in the chat. If you have questions for Murewa, please ask your questions in the chat. Towards the end, we're going to have a question and answer session. We'll try to get through as many of your questions as possible. Just keep them respectful. Keep them clean. Or else we can't put them on because YouTube gives us some type of thing to our algorithm if you start using various types of language. All right, so Slaya mentioned something that I didn't pick up on. It's the fact in this very first picture by Mateus that Rogue and Storm actually form an X. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's kind of dope. All right. So, as I said, jumping into the interiors, first of all, Lucas Wernick's rendition of Dr. Voodoo
Awesome.
was like thirst trap for many of the people on the internet who were like, man, look at Jericho drunk. Man, he looks so good. What's going on? What's going on with this? Boy looking smooth. Had my boy looking smooth. The Hongun Supreme. Storm has already seen the mutant doctor who can diagnose anything and says, yeah, you're dying. There's nothing we can do about that. Let me send you to my boy, Dr. Voodoo, to see if mystically this can be fixed. One of the things that the comment that really sort of sparked a lot of questions. He says, I doubt that that you reclaim your magical heritage will ever come. The day that you reclaim your magical heritage will ever come. I simply chose the price I presumed you would rather pay. We're going to get into that price in a second, but why does Dr. Voodoo doubt that she can reclaim her magical heritage to try and at some point?
It's a couple of things. It's the character of Dr. Voodoo, and also putting a little bit of my own voice there. I want to make sense. Part of the things I want to do with this solo series is I want to make sense of everything that we know about Storm. And if suddenly in this issue, she starts learning magic and so many things, I think there will be the question of, then why hasn't she done it earlier? She knows Scarlet Witch, she knows Doctor Strange, she knows a lot of people. She was in Wakanda, a very magical place too. Why hasn't she learned magic all these years? Right. So there must be a reason why she hasn't, So I think there is a deep hesitation in her spirit. Maybe it's a fear of maybe it's going to remind her too much of her mother, a dead mother. Maybe it's reconnected too much to a hurt that would just keep coming over, because even occasionally when she does use magic, she has to invoke people from her mother's line. Maybe that is an emotionally painful process. So to make sense of it all, we have to bring it to the forefront that the reason why she hasn't learned magic all this while is because there is an hesitation. So, and then as we move on with the series, it will be about, let us break that hesitation and see how we can exploit further. But we have to first recognize the problem before we can solve it. We can't just jump into, oh, now she's using magic now. So it's that's the approach. And I see that so yeah, that's basically it. Before you can solve this is the approach I want to take with these stories. And I think it makes for interesting stories. Like I told you in the private chats, on the journey to ice cream, you're going to put a lot of yogurt on the way, a lot of things that feel like it's, close to the thing, but, you have to keep saying no, and, a lot of challenges and things till you get to the right thing. And that's the approach I want to take with this story. So, and I was thinking a lot of time when I was crafting this story, because what I wanted the theme of this series to be was redemption. There was an earlier series I had. It was about exploring a criminal past. That will still be done too, and so many things. But as I continued crafting this series, I realized that the theme for this series as a whole is similar to Rorschach's line of no compromise. And that's what we're going to be seeing as this story moves on, seeing her get tempted, temptations along the way, temptations for morality, for behavior, for so many things. and see how she responds to them, and the costs of either falling or not falling into these temptations, the cost of being a solo hero. And that's what we want to explore in this series. So, and these are some of those things. And before we can reach those things, we have to first address the problems in a way and bring them to the limelight. And the first thing is, the only logical way why she hasn't explored her magical heritage is that there's a hesitation within, and we must first acknowledge it before we can break it down.
That's kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. One of the things, I think it's even mentioned in the book, the comment made is that Storm, in the pursuit of saving people's lives, she's willing to do anything. She's willing to put her own life on the line. She's willing to use every aspect of her power available to get the job done. She doesn't quit, right? So that's kind of interesting. But and yet she still does not tap into that one area of power that she could use to potentially help people. And what was interesting is you mentioned maybe it has something to do with her mother. I think that'd be a great sort of plot line. Let me throw my little pitch in here. Like, what if the hesitation involving her mother has to do with the fact that her parents were killed in a plane crash, right? Oh, what if we say that what we thought was the reason for the plane crash wasn't really the reason? The reason for the plane crash was her mother somehow trying to use her powers and it didn't work, or it failed, or somehow caused the plane crash, and she's aware of that, and that's why she doesn't want to tap into that.
To use magic, So yeah, I have a mother episode that's currently crafting that is far away, but yeah, it's stuff like that. So
that'd be kind of an interesting segue to do that. All right, so she has a long history of magic. We have this issue, this scene that happened just a couple of years ago during the Krakoa era, where we talked about, what was this issue, Antoine? Resurrect
Storm in the Brotherhood. This was issue number 2.
It's like issue 3 or 4.
Number 2.
Number two. She taps into a cosmic level of power towards the end of her life. And then also a few years ago, Scarlet Witch Volume 3, Number 2. Scarlet Witch is the one who points out, look, you got all this untapped mystical energy surrounding you. Why aren't you using it? And she kind of forces her to finally use it. So it's there. And we're looking forward to seeing her tap into it.
I love this page.
This page is phenomenal. So Dr. Voodoo talks about, here's what I'm going to do to heal you. I'm going to make a deal with a guy. Don't worry about who the guy is, but I made a deal. And the deal is, don't use your powers for like 7 days. I'm going to completely heal you. Here's the healing spell. You're going to be in the best shape of your life. The cellulitis is gone. The itch, the little mole you had on your hip, that's gone.
That little creak in your elbow, everything gone.
Yeah, the arthritis in your
elbow, acne, everything gone.
Everything's gone.
The scar from the shrapnel.
Yes, everything gone.
Your hair's on, look like you just came from the salon. You just can't use your powers for 7 days. But in this, he makes this really ominous statement. I made a bargain with an ancient spirit to not just remove all your radiation poisoning, etc., but all the illnesses from your body. Who the hell is this ancient spirit?
Okay. First thing, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to use Dr. Voodoo so much, is I just love voodoo and African magic kind of like aesthetics to their magic, where it's not just, abracadabra and you say some fancy words. It's the fact that you sometimes have to cut deals with like terrible creatures and terrible things to get some things, So it's a lot of contracts, And that's what I really like about it. Like, oh, you want kids, I'll take you to the Oshun River. We make a deal with Oshun, and then we'll get kids. And then you have to do some things to Oshun, and stuff like that. So, the ancient spirit here is Egun, and it's mentioned in the text. And the condition is, Storm does have to use her powers for 7 days, and we've only seen 6 days. So, what happens on the 7th day? Will something make her use her powers? Will something tempt her? Will she fall into that temptation, or will she not? Will So that's the story. So I wouldn't want to say much beyond that. We'll see that in issue 4. See if Storm will fall for that temptation to use her powers on the 7th day or not. And then
she's got to. She's got to. She's got.
I don't know. She's got her weapons now from Rogue. She's got some knives.
Yeah, she's going to be hanging. Look, we're going to talk about where she's going, but
yeah,
she can't not use her powers. That's just.
And could I just quickly say, I want to give a shout out to Alex Guimaraes for the colors on this page also, because, the art, as wonderful as the art is, I mean, the colors that he used just really brought this to life.
Yeah, especially the use of green, that's what those are Voodoo's colors, and so I really like that. And yeah, and if you notice in issue 2, what Dr. Voodoo even says is that you love to everybody knows that Storm likes being a mutant. Like, if everyone ever has doubted themselves or felt persecuted and like, oh, I wish I was never a mutant, that's never been Storm. She loves being a mutant, so she relishes in that power. So, and that's what Dr. Voodoo says in issue 2. Like, what would you do without your mutant abilities? You rely on them so much, and that being the condition that the ancient spirit gives, makes it a very, very tough one.
But here's the thing. Dr. Voodoo is the Hogun Supreme dark magic guy. He says he makes a deal. He makes a bargain. The thing with magic is that there's always a cost, right? You always got to pay a price for the use of magic. And this is high-end magic. This is, I'm healing you of everything that could possibly be wrong with you type magic. That's pretty high stuff. The devil's in the details. And I'm curious to see in what issue where these details bear fruit. When is the debt owed? When's the calling card of the debt made? Is it in the next issue, or what issue can we expect?
Let's say the next issue.
Let's say the next issue. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So, my man Dr. Voodoo looking smooth. This page was a red herring for me.
I like that comment.
My man Jericho looking at Aurora looking at Jericho, they gaze in their eyes. He cracks the smile. He's saying, "Hey, baby, you can come back to New Orleans. Come chill out my crib at Strange Academy. Me and the kids, we'll watch over you. You can just hang out with me in New Orleans, my hometown. Go down to the bayou, go down and get some etouffee."
Yeah. We made some last minute changes, like few minutes, seconds to it's going to print. So that's why there's no time caption on this page. In the previous page, they were in Haiti, but when she comes out of that fire pit, that giant pot, they are now in New Orleans. So that's why his dress is changed, and he's like, "Oh yeah, follow me to this." So I think that's the issue. A lot of people are like, why didn't she go somewhere else? Like, yeah, Dr. Voodoo takes her to New Orleans. So from there she's like, what? I'll find my way, and I'll just stay with my friends here.
I'm just saying, my man, Jericho He last one we saw him kick it with was technically Monica Rambeau, but we still don't know whether or not that was an alternate universe. We never really got an answer to that at the end of that Photon series.
Yeah, and Scarlet Witch.
Huh?
Yeah, and Scarlet Witch had something.
Yeah, and he and Scarlet Witch had a thing going on. And he's T'Challa's boy, so that's got to be a little awkward, you know. But I looked at this page, I'm like, man, Murewa's gonna hook her up with Dr. Voodoo. That's just scandalous. This is messy. This book's about to be messy. But alas, that didn't happen. So all right. She then travels to New Orleans, which is, you know, as you just pointed out. And who's in New Orleans right now? The rest of the X-Men. Specifically, the uncanny X-Men that she really ran hard with back in the day. Back in the heyday of the X-Men, where I was buying 50 million 11 X titles every month.
Yeah.
The Chris Claremont era, we got Gambit, we got Rogue, Nightcrawler, and Logan. This is her family. I like this picture because it points out a simple fact that ultimately the X-Men is a surrogate family. More so than the Avengers. The Avengers is a team, but the X-Men are a family.
Yeah.
Talk about the significance of this, if you would.
I was first worried about this panel when I was scripting it. I really liked it when I was scripting it. Well, I'm like, oh man, I hope people aren't going to say this is too cheesy, you know. Was with the grown-ups doing group hugs and stuff. So I'm happy.
I mean, even Logan's smiling. I mean, Logan never smiles, and he's smiling.
Yes. And I love how she had to pull him by the collar to like get him from walking away. That was
yes. Those are the things that I remember. Like, no, Logan would want to like act all tough, you know, before he could hug her and stuff like that. So it's
Logan probably smells like whiskey, Newports, and regret. It wouldn't be Newports. Logan is a cigar man, so you're probably looking at a Macanudo or something like that.
Yeah. So a lot of people talk about it's not so easy to try new things. It feels easy, but it's always very hard. Anytime we try to do new things, we always like regress back until we are reminded why we left in the first place. You know, sometimes you see some people leave like relationships or even their parents' place or something, and then all of a sudden you miss where you left, and then you come back and like, oh yeah, I remember why I left now. You know, this is Storm trying to be a solo hero. This is our first time ever trying to be a solo hero, living on our own, trying to do everything all by herself, trying to be the queen of Earth all by herself. And she's gone through everything in like just 2 issues. You know, she's and they tell her that you are going to die. Like, we've healed you, everything is perfect. Like you are perfect right now. You're the eldest.
Still gonna die.
Yes, you're still going to die. And I don't think no matter how strong you are going to go back. You are not going to keep pushing. You're going to regress. You're going to go back to that family to look for comfort. You know, so you are going to go back to the familiar. This is not. So that's what this is. This is us saying, okay, I'm in New Orleans. You know, why do I have to stay in strange academy where I don't know anybody there? You know, she's met Jericho a couple of times. He came to a wedding with T'Challa, but that's really barely all the interactions they've ever had. So why would I stay there where I have this family I've known for years just right next door? She's just here to look for comfort, you know. And oddly enough, even though she can't see it, we are the only ones that can see it, you know, because we are looking with the eyes of Jericho Drum. When she's with the Uncanny X-Men in this panel, our death sprites disappear.
Yeah.
So it's like while she's with them, the threat of death leaves. So it's almost like even the cosmic forces recognize that when she's with the X-Men, she's safer. When she's with the X-Men, she's untouchable. And that also says a lot to us as readers, And I've been seeing a lot of people, there's been a lot of debate on why I'm not using like more text. And that's because people think texts tell you more, but the other thing is they tell you less. Like we all know that an image is worth 1,000 words, and we try as much as possible to not distract away from the imagery with text, so that you can notice them more. We want you to spend more time with these images. For example, in this panel, we don't tell you that the dead sprites leave. You just notice that you've been seeing dead sprites in all the panels, and you get to this panel, the dead sprites are gone.
Yeah.
You didn't pay close enough attention. Yeah. If you didn't pay close enough attention, you wouldn't notice.
You sort of gradually see them disappear. In this one, they're gone, and then the one before, they're less.
Yeah, and they're gone totally. So it's showing that she's safe. And another reason why I try to rely more on visuals is this. Have you noticed how you love some comic books, but you never necessarily go back to them? You just remember that they are good, but you keep them somewhere. When your stories are told more visually, yes, when you read them at first, they read quicker. So it feels like, oh my God, I was cheated. Like there's this other comic book with loads of text. I read it for like 30 minutes. I was done with this in 15 minutes. Yeah, but you would be surprised as the years go by. You can keep coming back to this issue over and over and over and over again, and they still read smoother. Because of the visual storytelling, you will notice things more every single time. So there's always a reward for every time you come back. So in the long run, you would read this 7 times, 5 times. You will get more of your money's worth than you read it for 45 minutes, but you never come back to it. You can ask Iron Man fans about I Am Iron Man. They come back to it regularly. They talk about it regularly. If you go to their Reddit channels, and it's because of things like that. So many things buried in between them, in between the text, in between the images that you keep coming back to. I think there's just a casual line between two villains where one speaks in like binary, and when you go back to it, it's the thing was saying it's shit, but it's until you put it in the computer to see what the binary means, so it's different things like that you're going to see in this story. Everything is, you're going to discover more and more as you come back to it. And people that have caught on have realized that you don't read it once. You come back. You come back, and then you see more things. So here we see the dead sprite leave because she's with them, and when she's with them, she's safer, both emotionally and actually physically.
Well, one of the questions here, Pericles Dragon Balls ask, any choice of Dr. Karina Ellis trying to come for our queen? We've got this crossover storyline, Gray Malcolm, going on in the X lines right now. Obviously not at this moment because the death sprites are gone. So I think she's safe for the moment.
Yeah, she's safe for them at the moment.
And Dr. Ellis is up in Westchester, so I guess she's good.
If something comes up, it will be later, and she probably will want to like go through the back door. You can't go face to face with Storm right now because where the issues I'm writing right now, which is way OP right now.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, we have a lot of comments in the chat about the way Logan smells. People are very obsessed with that. All right. Moving on. Speaking of Logan, she decides to do some training. She's got 6-7 days to kill, and spends it working out. It's raining.
So,
during that
when I was sorry to interrupt you. So when I was writing this episode, it was when they hugged. I was like, okay, what happened? There's a part to these stories. There are parts that you plan. Like you're like, oh, this is the episode where this happens, this is the episode where this happens, this is the episode where this happens. And there are parts where you have, so that it flows naturally. You don't plan them. I think they call it pantsing. So you just write like what happens next. And here I'm knowing the history, knowing Storm, knowing how she tends to kind of distract herself. I was like, oh, she would constantly spar. So I had to ask, Gail Simone, do you guys have, a what do you call this room in the X mansion where they train?
Danger room.
Danger room. Like, do you have? She's like, oh yeah, there's no danger room, but they have like an outdoor training. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do that. So that's where this thing came from.
Okay. So it's raining.
Mm-hmm.
Is it raining because the weather's raining, or is Storm making it rain?
No, it's just raining.
Okay.
It's the swamp.
I will circle back to why I think that's somewhat significant. Flying Mutai knee. Devastating left hook. Suplex. I'm guessing you're some type of wrestling fan.
I occasionally dabble into UFC, MMA. So I have all that. I have a lot of Instagram reels and stuff that I go through, like the fights and all those moves and all those stuff, Conor McGregor, all these guys. So different stuff like that. I occasionally dabble. Israel, different of this guy. So yeah, and I love the web comic and manhwa lettering style, where sometimes you don't try to reproduce sound, you just say it, so rather than maybe like WOOO, you just say exhale. You just say exhale. So I love and enjoy stuff like that. And also, one of the benefits of doing stuff like this is in the fandom pages, they love things like this, because easily in the fandom page somebody can say, oh, Storm knows Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
They can easily say this is a fighting style by spelling it out, the moves that she's making. And those are kind of the things you see in some old classic comics, so instead of just seeing them fight, it doesn't do anything when you want to when you want to record our stats in many of these books. But by spelling it out, people that, oh yeah, Storm knows some of this martial arts. So,
Storm got hands.
People tend to forget. So because people tend to forget that. So, but if you just show her just fighting, people just say, okay, she can fight, But if you spell it out like, yes, she knows this moves, she knows the triangle choke, she knows the Muay Thai flying, people will expand it in their head, especially in like all those fandom pages and all those different things. So it's also me trying to remind people visually in this story and in all those encyclopedias that we keep online that yes, she can fight.
Oh yeah, Storm definitely got hands. She's had many years in X-Men training with the X-Men, how to fight. Wolverine was often the martial arts instructor at the X-Men for the New Mutants. There are issues when she was with T'Challa, and she said T'Challa trained her. She's trained Dora Milaje. So she's had a lot of training with some of the best fighters in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and she knows the streets as well, so she fights dirty too.
And she fights. She's not above stabbing you in the between.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steven Turner, who says Lucas' arc so good he made Logan unugly. I mean,
he's not wrong.
Short, hairy, smelly Canadian dude smells like cigars, whiskey, and
regret. Apparently,
yes, if you're into that type of thing. All right, Murewa picked up any Laje moves during her time as their queen. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Paul just said that now. So yeah, she knows a lot of moves from the X-Men, from Wakanda, life on the streets, and things she learned on her own. I just got the green light for a script where she's performing calisthenics also in her training and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to see some of those things, So I really want to play with the visuals of this series, So it's
all right.
I enjoy people saying, yeah, the art is incredible, the visuals are incredible and stuff like that. So I find that a lot of books have great art, but we never really enjoy the visuals of it because there's a lot of text. And not because the texts are covering up the art, but because our eyes automatically go to the text because we think the texts are more important. But when you allow people to see it, like in issue 2, where you see taking care of those animals, actually see those actions, and you soak them in. And just because there are no dialogue there, it's something you can always revisit. It's something you can share online. It stays in the general memory of the public, that this is who she is, this is what she does, more than what I think mere words would just do. Especially, especially if it's a person that's saying it also feels proud, like, oh, I take care of my animals well or something like that. I'm like, nah, let's just see you do it.
Quid pro quo. So I still remember when she had that fight with Callisto and the other X-Men were worried she wouldn't be able to handle herself until they saw her spin that knife. The best part of that scene is her stabbing Callisto and turning her back and seeing her walk away as was dropping. Like, she didn't even wait to see the body drop. She's like, I know, I got you.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I love that sequence.
All right, so going more to the fight scene, you posted this. How you to talk about this?
It's everything I've always said. Like, I hope this isn't wrong or anything. It's like inaccurate.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, like I try as much as possible to put a lot of like African and Black culture and things in the zeitgeist into the stories, like voodoo, like juju, and stuff like that. And Mike Tyson is a very popular Black man, and is popular for his fighting style of the peekaboo, like where he puts his boxing glove, covering his mouth and other stuff. So I had to bring that fighting style into this sequence too as well. Like, so this is the fighting style that actually takes down Storm in this issue. So stuff like that. So I try as much as possible to just put as much stuff as much as I can, And so it was really fun. I liked how Lucas was able to
put that together with Lucas. Did you guys talk about the whole Mike Tyson thing and how it was going to be look and choreographed? Like, how did that come into being?
Oh yeah, I take screenshots. Like my scripts come with like descriptions and then screenshots. So I do so I did screenshots of actual Mike Tyson moves, like, oh, the stance, how he dodges, this panel 2 he dodges, and then he rises back up with an uppercut, and different stuff like that. Like, this is the script where this script for issue 3 was the first script where Gail Simone read my script, because I was using the Uncanny X-Men, and she was like, oh, like your scripts actually do read like actual comic books, like you're actually reading a comic book, because because of all the images and how I break things down and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's that layout and breakdown were in the script itself.
All right, so then we get to this. Give me a second.
Spicy.
Oh my god.
I had one request of you, Murewa. I had one request of you.
I need a drink too.
I said that to you at the very beginning of the series. We're not going to talk about this right now. We're going to come back. We're going to come back. Because based on what I'm seeing in the chat, people really want to get into this. So let's finish the book first. I promise y'all, we'll circle back on this. Moving on. Storm wakes up the next day and sees Little Bird on her perch.
Yeah.
Little Bird being, a joke. What and who is this?
Oh yeah. So that's one of the things I love working with, like Tom Brevoort. Tom Brevoort is also in charge of Fantastic Four, so hence Dr. Doom, and he's pretty open with you being as fully creative as much as you can, and then it will do the work on trying as much as possible to make your work canon. Everybody that he needs to talk to, because I just read some stuff that I had to talk with Will Moss, like, okay, can we do this? Can we not do this? So he knows how to like do all those stuff, and honestly speaking, I just love Razor Bills, because of how cool their eye marks are, all black, and they just have these white marks, across their bills, so I just love that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put it in the book, I was going to put it. And if you have noticed it in this book, we've also been using a lot of nature and especially animals, from the hippos to the capybaras, the cosmic whale, which was an orca, and now to the razor bill. So we are using a lot of animals, just it's all the things you don't see a lot of in a superhero comics that we want to like bring it to superhero comics, and that's a lot of animals that are not like crazed up and used as weapons and something, and not like common animals you see on the streets. It's always monkeys and gorillas and stuff. So yeah, so let's use like actual precise, like instead of just giant bird, precise, like it has to be a razor bill, it has to be a hippo, it has to be a this, it has to be a that. So yeah, I just had to use this bird, and it's pretty cool. And I had to give you some cool lines like, oh yeah, Dr. Doom sent it over to Storm, because I was thinking how will Storm get to Latveria, because when I was talking with Gail Simone too as well, they don't have a black bird here, like which was the funny thing. I had to use an actual blackbird to replace blackbird.
I hadn't even thought about that. It's our new blackbird. Okay.
Yeah. So so stuff like that. So it was So I was like, okay, I'll use an actual blackbird to replace the blackbird. And have a cool exchange and stuff like that. So it was really nice writing. I love writing this thing.
What region of the world are razor bills indigenous to?
I think the Arctic.
The Arctic, okay. All right. So, does he have a name?
No, not yet. If it comes up again, probably.
Okay.
Another thing I'm also trying to do in this series is this. That's the thing. Like, there are so many objectives that I have to do in this series, and I hope I'm successful with them. I'm also not just trying to tell a cool story just for myself. I'm trying to expand Storm's lore and mythos, so that after this series, if someone comes up to say, okay, Storm Solo did so well, Storm is now like Spider-Man and other stuff, that we trust that she can always have an ongoing series on the stand, do an ongoing series. The person will have materials to use. Like, so even if I don't get back to I will definitely get back to many of these things. But even if I don't, it's like, oh yeah, what about that bird from this issue? What about this thing from this thing? What about that doctor? What about this kid? There will be things for them to play with. And that's what creates this interesting tapestry that you have people saying that, oh, I was there from when she was first a solo hero, and I've been following this thing, and I introduced my kid to it, and then you see people say that, oh, I've gone back to legacy number 12 to read everything to legacy number 300, and it's because the first people to do it laid the foundation. And those are the things that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were doing, when they were building those stories. It wasn't just to tell interesting stories. They were introducing a lot of building blocks so that they could build with later issues, or other people could build with them. So, and that's everything we're trying to do with this.
All right. Antoine.
Yes. Well, you know what? I love from the first time I read the issue, I loved the Razor Bill, and I just call him Razor Bill because I didn't think of another name. But I thought it was like such a cool touch, and to me, it almost gave it like an anime-like feel, especially as we got toward the end when she was flying away with it. So I really liked those touches, and in my head, I was just like, well, what if this becomes like, her new steed that she uses sometimes, and he has magical abilities, obviously, because he's, been created by Dr. Doom, so he can open portals so she can get around faster, like the new Blackbird. So, literally.
What's interesting is when Storm...
The artwork is by Dotunakande, our boy Dotunakande, by the way.
Say that again?
The artwork is by Dotunakande.
Right.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. When Storm first meets the Razor Bill bird, she's like, "Hey, can you give me a ride? Because I'm kind of, don't have any, money or whatever right now." So, and he's very hesitant. He's like, "You're not gonna ride me. I'm an intelligent.
I'm above that. I'm not a lowly steed.
I'm not some steed." And yet, Dotun, in his image, has a saddle on his back.
Yeah. That's why his head is probably down, like, oh my God,
right.
Why am I the one doing this?
He's been bought low.
Foreshadowing? Is this foreshadowing, this image?
No, Dotun usually reads my scripts, so he knows stuff that will come up, and he just has fun with them and creates promotional art pieces to like tease what will happen. We've already seen like his Storm and Dr. Doom dinner scene that he drew a while back for issue 4, so yeah, he's just having fun, and he promised me not to tell anyone, but I'm going to do it anyway. The I'm not sure if it's Chinese or Japanese text inside Ororo means eternity, so there's eternity inside Ororo, which is what the story is about too as well.
Yeah,
I'm feeling the bird style, like the whole attitude.
Yes.
Ride me? What?
Right.
No.
I loved it.
With that. Like his whole attitude, very dismissive. You're kind of beneath me. I'm Sir Emperor Doom. I'm getting like Alfred vibes from this guy. Like this is like Alfred from
yeah.
The whole black and white combination tuxedo.
They look distinguished, don't they?
But you're gonna have to come up with a cool name for this bird. You ponder it, marinate on it, come up with a cool name. Yeah. All right. Back to the book. So it's the next day. Aurora reveals she knocked boots with Wolverine. Rogue is like, "Oh man, I'm so excited." I don't know why.
I think it's because like some people are like, "Oh, why is Rogue like excited?" Like Aurora and Logan have had a thing before, like why because she knows Logan is going through a lot of stuff like at this moment in the story, like Logan is struggling through depression and a lot of things, and
right, people that aren't reading X-Men aren't going to know that he's going through a bit of a depression right now.
And sometimes they're just happy that your friends are together and maybe they could make each other happy, and if you read a lot of Logan stories, which is what I found interesting, oddly enough, like a lot of people think, we will get to the ship thing, but let me just say this briefly, is Logan is usually his happiest when he's with Storm. That's a very odd thing. So
I don't know about that, dude. I gotta disagree. I think Logan is happy with Jean Grey.
I wouldn't say that.
I would even take it further. He's happy with Jean Grey and Cyclops. His Krakoa years in a throuple, those are the happiest I ever saw Logan. That dude was smiling.
It is his most content. There are different emotions, but when you just see him just being this big teddy bear, is usually when he's with Storm. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that. But that's probably what's exciting Rogue. Like, oh yeah, like my friends are together. They are probably going to feel better and happier. That's what that excitement is probably about. Like, are you going to end up together? That kind of thing. And then it's like, and Storm has to be the bearer of bad. Like,
no.
I'll point this out. I don't want to go on a tangent because we're going to get into this a bit later. But when Storm and Logan first got together was when Jean was dead. And now Jean is not dead per se, but she's out of the picture.
Elsewhere.
X-Men don't really know where she is technically. From his perspective, she's dead again. So the question becomes, we have this previous scene, right? If Jean Grey shows up right now, is he leaving Storm to go hang out with Jean Grey?
I don't know, too.
I know the answer is yes.
But you know what? But even
let's keep it 100, man.
But I think
Jean Grey's his first love, not Storm.
I think that's looking into it too deeply, though. I think
that's not deep. That's comics.
No, but I feel like that's too deep for this because Storm is not looking at it from a perspective of that kind of love either. They were both.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, Storm is not in love too as well.
No, she told Rogue. She was like, "No, it ain't gonna be that. This was, I'm not necessarily proud of it. It happened. I had a need. I've been dying. I've been going through a lot. Logan's been going.
And Craig's not around. Craig is. We don't know where Craig is. So Storm's been kind of lonely. So she needed to.
So this is basically like.
We'll get back to that. The point is.
So this is basically what's in Rogue's mind per se, not even anything. It's not. I'm not talking facts per se. It's what's in Rogue's mind. Like 2 of my friends right now are having a hard time. And if they're together, maybe they would be happier. That's where the excitement is coming from. It's not, it's where the excitement is coming from. But Storm has to be the bearer of bad news and be like, I'm not. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm still sure. I don't think I'm even mentally healthy enough to get into something right now, and things like that. So yeah.
Hosts be like, well, you're wrong to the actual writer feels unnecessarily rude. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry. Am I being rude to you, Murewa?
No. I think they're having fun too.
Yeah. Y'all need to just don't be sensitive. Murewa's cool. All right, so Doom. Doom, God, Emperor, Sorcerer Supreme. Doom.
Yeah, I had to use the God Emperor Doom part because of my love for Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman. So I had that title instead of the Sorcerer Supreme one. God Emperor Doom. And how he's seated. Like how he's seated is also like heavily inspired by how he sits by the tree in Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman and Ezadri Beach too as well, and stuff like that. So yeah,
if you do not know what Murewa was talking about, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, you should probably subscribe to our channel so that you learn about stuff like this because it's important and it's really good. Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers, New Avengers, Infinity, and Secret Wars is some of the best comic book reading you can ever do in your entire life. I wish I could say this is hyperbole and I'm exaggerating, but it absolutely is not. It's a fact. That is a fantastic run. Just so you know.
Yeah. So
I like how his eyes are red. Was that intentional? Did you like put that in the script for his eyes to be?
Yeah, that was a cool detail.
It was
spooky, and I liked it.
Yeah. That wasn't the script, but I loved it. That was probably between Alex and Lucas, because sometimes we talk as a trio, or sometimes they also talk as a duo, and they like decide on colors.
Yeah,
and
those
before
guys,
they send it over to me. I love the eyes thing. It also reminds me of Gambit's eyes, but it works. It just works more to me with Doom. Like, it's just all black, and you just see the red pupils. And it's like, damn.
Yeah, it's got like a Cylons from the old Battlestar Galactica series back in the day.
Yeah, it's really scary stuff.
There's a bunch of 20-year-olds scratching their heads right now, saying, "What the hell is he talking about?" Sorry. Ask your parents or your grandparents. So real quick, the red eye thing, is that because of his new power set as Sorcerer Supreme, you think?
I have no idea what Lucas and Alex were thinking, but I know he looks cool.
The answer is yes, Maurice. Yes.
Right.
I thought of that and I threw it in there. So all the other writers now have to give him red eyes because he's Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. yeah.
I'm trying to get you props.
Okay.
Props.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is what's coming. What can we expect? We'll get to that. We're going to get into what we can expect in the next issue in a bit. So I didn't want to piss off the people watching by not circling back to the Storm Logan thing, because it's certainly, bro, you're a bold man. You're a bold man. You're a bold man. To throw this in there. The internet went aflame. And the thing is, it's like our modern day politics being very polarized. All the comments I have seen on this are either I absolutely freaking hate it, or this is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. There wasn't anything in the middle. There wasn't like I could take it or leave it. I could care less. It was polarized, very, very polarized. Let's start with what were you thinking?
I think, before I go to what I was thinking, I think what made it polarized, in which I'm not saying this because of whichever group or to disrespect any group or that you belong to, but I think what made it polarizing is this. In most sections in Marvel Comics, there is none actually. You just see that, they just wake up from a bed and you're like, the deed has been done. This is
so what you're saying is they didn't actually have sex, they just cuddled all night. That's what happened, right? Please say
that's not what I'm saying. But
that's why
this is but this is like one of the first. I don't want to say the first, like, this is one of the few comics where, even though it's like Marvel PG-13 kind of thing, we go into it as far as we can. So I think that's what made it, either you find it extremely steamy, or be like, middle finger to you, writer. I'm going to go to your page. I'm going to say the nastiest things, because it's how far we go with it. And I think, now, like I said, not about the decision if it's good or bad or anything, but I think it's something that is necessary in this art form. We need to push things as far as we can. Like, if you see the discussions based on this alone, you wouldn't believe that a major X-Men event came out the same week, because there were almost the same amount of discussions on this single page as much as we had on an X-Men event, a crossover event between two X-Men titles. is having maybe even less discussions online than a single page from a Storm solo series. So that's the thing. We need to push the envelope. It's enough of just, oh, they just did this. And some people say, why did I have to put a sex in there? And so understand, like, we're going to explore the different aspects of this character's life. We're going to explore how she hits. Like, she's going to cook. She's going to fight. She's going to do all those stuff. And sex is part of a human life. Like, even if you are asexual, it's still an aspect of it that needs to be explored. So it's part of the art form, it's part of storytelling. So, and that's that. And when it comes to what I was thinking, and in all honesty, I think it was inspired by a little scene from X of Swords, where I think Storm and Wolverine were drunk and they lean in for a little kiss before something happens, and then it doesn't happen. And when I saw that panel reading at the time, I'm like, wait, what's this nonsense? That was my honest reaction. I was like, what's this nonsense? Like, Storm and Wolverine? No, like, no, now, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I also felt what a lot of, like, fans that are against the pair also felt like, no, 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 no. This doesn't work. Like, what were you trying to do? Thank goodness they didn't kiss. Like, don't even try it, all those kind of things. But when I was doing research for this series, especially when I was doing Greg Pak's, I think issue 2, I saw the relationship they had. I'm like, okay. It felt a little wholesome. I think I was going online to some more issues, some more imageries, and I'm like, And what particularly fascinated me was how animalistic Wolverine can be, because that's what I'm familiar with. And all of a sudden, when he's with Storm, he's wearing hats like a gentleman and, dancing at a bar and stuff like that. And I like, Wolverine, like, is the one that's becoming this soft teddy bear anytime he's with Storm. And that relationship didn't have closure. Of all the relationships she's had, like, in other relationships, like, we saw the breakup. In Storm and Wolverine's relationship, there was no breakup. Wolverine died.
Well,
And Wolverine died, and he came back,
and they never talked
and
about
it's just
it.
like, and they never talked about it, and nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's something here. So this is not. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm a Logan Ororo fan. Like, I'm happy that you enjoy that story. I'm happy that people that are that fan of that pairing loved that scene. But this was strictly storytelling thing. So people are like, oh, like, I planned it, like, oh, it's to make sales. Like, I'm going to, like, oh, it's because I wanted to sell. And I'm like, this was research from the storytelling. Like, this is our only relationship. She didn't get any closure. There's no, oh, he didn't propose. There was no, oh yeah, we got married and we divorced. There was no breakup. There was nothing. He just died, and he came back, and they never talked about it. It's just so that was the thing that I'm like, and she's also going through a lot emotionally right now. She's dying, she's alone, she's depressed. We still don't know why she's depressed, because there's a time jump. All the X books have a time jump from the ashes. Why is Magneto this way? Why is all this? There's a time jump, and everybody's, as they're going forward with their story, are telling what happened between that time jump. In Storm, we've not told the story of what happened in our own time jump. So there's a time jump. What happened? Why is Storm solo? Why is she depressed? Why is she going through all these things? And she's also dying and all this stuff. Like, this is a moment of vulnerability. This is a moment of pain, of looking for comfort. And she's now in a tensed moment with someone where she has never even had closure with. And in that moment, something happens. So this is 100%. Yeah, and this is 100% storytelling. This is not me trying to push any agenda. This is not me trying to. It's 100% storytelling. Yes, now people are saying it did well and everything, and I'm happy. Like, oh yeah, Wolverine is popular, but that was not the intention. It's proper analysis of the story, because I did the research. Proper analysis of the story, and it's like, this feels like the next thing to happen, you know. And because of her state of mind, she couldn't even handle that. She couldn't even, and what she did wasn't even good per se. She left Wolverine worse.
Right. She just
like
left.
People forget that. People are saying like, oh, Wolverine is this bad person. Like, in this story, Storm is the bad person.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she started it and she leaves him without even saying anything. And it's also coming from a state of mind right now and everything. She's hurt. She's unstable. And with just 1 day, with 1 day left on the deal with Dr. Voodoo's ancient spirits thing, she goes to Dr. Doom. Are you trying to kill yourself? So there is a lot here right now that we need to explore. Are you suicidal? What's happening?
Right.
You know, Ororo needs a talking to right now. You know, like, what's happening?
Do you want to get away from your emotions that bad?
Yeah. So it's a lot of things that I think people might be missing, because there's, you know, which is good, because this kind of stories, you know, because I don't want to say them in the book, it gives room for discussions. Right. And I'm seeing those discussions online. People
it definitely gives room for discussions. Let's get into discussions on this, because I have strong feelings on this, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can.
You don't have to be. It's fine.
You can be biased, Paul. I'll be the objective one today. You can be biased.
All right. So here's the thing. Anyone who's spent more than 5 minutes watching me on any of these lives know that I am a hardcore Black Panther fan. Certainly a T'Challa Forever fan.
Okay.
My favorite Black male character in comics is the Black Panther. My favorite Black superheroine in comics is Storm. And for those who see me on my Wakanda Whiskey and Blurredom show every Friday, the Hardcore Black Panther show, be surprised to know I was a fan of Storm first. I've actually been a fan of Storm longer than I was a fan of Black Panther. I started collecting Uncanny X-Men in the 80s. I didn't start collecting Black Panther until like the 90s. So I've been a fan of Storm longer. Was
it the Priest run that you started with?
I actually picked up it's a whole long story, but the short of it is I started with some of the Dennis Cowan stuff, and then it was the Priest run that hooked me in and made me, as soon as I read issue number 1 of Priest run, that's my guy.
Yeah.
That I don't care about anybody else, that's my guy. Other superhero I have a huge collection on, Wolverine. Big fan of Wolverine. He's one of my favorite X-Men. My 3 favorite X-Men: Storm, Wolverine, and Bishop. Those are my 3 favorite X-Men. So yeah, I am biased on both sides. But here's the thing. Because I'm so familiar with Wolverine, is one of the reasons why I don't want him with Storm. You know, Wolverine has it goes back to this concept. Right? When Storm and T'Challa first broke up in Avengers versus X-Men, it's the recognition of this. And I got to do this because, quite frankly, we've got people in the chat going crazy making comments on this stuff. And so it has to be said. It has to be addressed. We can't shy from it. And I appreciate that Maria's here and he's willing to talk about it. Um, Oftentimes you see people say things on the internet that just doesn't make sense, and it's clear that they don't really actually read the comics. When Reggie Hudlin brought them together, it was monumental, right? You had people that felt some kind of way about that pairing. Here's a comment from Right Medicine. Though discussions of this relationship are often co-opted on here by those whom Cheryl Eaton described as trying to sow division, I've been loving the recent positivity in a world that marginalizes Black people. Seeing two Black superheroes to united in love is encouraging and vital. That's facts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a racial component, right? Like you want to see Black superhero love because it's kind of rare.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
In current comics, and I don't want to make this about race, but how can you not, right?
Yeah.
Because she is the preeminent Black superheroine in the world in comics, like period.
Yeah.
Mainstream,
like Marvel, DC, everything.
indie, she's number one. Premier Black superhero in the world is Black Panther. I would actually say that prior to his movie, she was ahead of him.
Yeah.
In terms of popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So before all of that happened, Reggie Hudlin put them together is the kind of the thing. And people say on the internet, well, they don't belong together because they have nothing in common. And Marvel just threw them together. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that an African prince with superpowers would get together with an African princess with superpowers and they choose to be heroes. That doesn't make sense. This is the logic. Also ignoring the fact that Chris Claremont said that they've known each other since they were kids. And he established that back in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. He said that they were together for a time. Mm-hmm. Didn't disclose what happened during that time or how long they were together. That wouldn't be explored until 2006 in the Storm run by Jerome Dickey. May he rest in peace. But it was an important pairing because they shook the whole world, right? They were powerful, they were rich, they were connected, and they could literally take over the entire world. So there's a lot of fans that feel some type of way about that. Now I get putting Wolverine in any book is going to help make a lot of sales. It's like a couple characters in Marvel that really help out. There's Wolverine, Miles Morales. It used to be Peter Parker. Now it's like Miles Morales, Peter Parker still. These are characters that you put them in a book, it's really going to always help. If we're doing it because we've got this exploration of the character going forward. We know that she's going to become the Eternal Storm. We know that she's got this God future in front of her with the eternity and being a herald to eternity, what have you. That's something we're looking forward to. But it's interesting in the story, you're going backwards to move forward, right? She realizes she's dying. She goes back to the X-Men. She realizes she's dying. She goes back to her old lover, Wolverine. Was that kind of the point that you were trying to make, is having her go backward to go forward?
Exactly. Like some people say, like if you want to, like the slingshot, the farther you want it to go, you pull it back. So that's the point of the issue, which I think a lot of people are not getting. That you're trying to pull her back to push her forward. Like no matter what your preferences are in the relationship, I'm not making her go in a relationship with Logan.
Right.
That's basically what the last page of the story even says.
Right.
Like she couldn't stay. She broke Logan's heart in that issue. She couldn't even stay there. So, and I think one of the DMs I got about somebody saying that oh yeah, I really hate, black love and a lot of things. It's number one, probably on the X line. This is probably the blackest book. There's black friendship in issue 1. You see black male intelligence in issue 2 and issue 3. The doctor that is able to solve is a black person, and Margot is coming in, who's going to also be a friend and work with Storm, and so many things that we have planned. So, and what another thing I also told the person is, when you're telling a story, just like the magical heritage thing, when you're going to tell a story about something, either it's black love or anything, do you really think the payoff will come in the early issues? Do you really think the payoff will come in issue 1, 2, 3? The payoff comes later. It's the setup, it's the temptations, it's the thing that comes early on. Like, you are going to see Voodoo become a mentor, but first you first see that breakaway of, oh yeah, I don't need you, I can do this on my own, before there's a need for a reunion, and different things like that. That's what storytelling is. And the last thing I told that person is, while you're advocating for black love, you should also remember black trust. Trust a black creator as well. Do not perceive me as incompetent. So that's also the thing. So we are building up to something, and before you can launch forward, you have to move back.
So you're telling the fans, be patient, I got stuff cooking.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Going backwards to go forward. There are other options in going backward. Because I'm bringing this up because people are mentioning this in the chat. There are other options when she went backwards. Forge being one of them, right? If you're going into her past and addressing, past relationships, Forge is one possibility. In fact, it's a popular character, popular possibility given the X-Men 97 cartoon that just aired, which was super popular. People know that Storm had a relationship with Forge. They just saw it. It's fresh in their minds. And it would have been an excellent sort of way to parlay the popularity of that cartoon into this series by having her take up with Forge. That's one possibility. But another one is Craig. Corny ass Craig. I don't like Craig personally. But that is her last relationship. And in terms of, you could still go backward to go forward and have black love at the same time with someone other than T'Challa, which is not my preference, but other than T'Challa, with Craig, and resolve that relationship. The last guy she was with, we still don't know what happened to Craig. We still don't know what happened to the kids. I hope Jed McKay addresses that. We still don't know what happened to the kids that she and Craig kind of somewhat adopted. Why not that option, Maria? Explain that, because people are asking.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's something I've already addressed, but I'm sure there are more viewers on this particular episode than before, which I would explain again. Like I said previously, just long ago, number one, it's storytelling. Dr. Voodoo is in New Orleans. Where do we have our closest family? It's the Uncanny X-Men. So that's where Wolverine is. It's not a popularity thing. It's not anything. So that's one. Of the big 3 relationships she's had, and that's Black Panther, Forge, and Wolverine. Wolverine is the only one she has not had closure on. So there was reason for that. Now, on Craig, like I said, I was already writing this episode. I was brought on to write this episode before Fall of X was concluded. So I did not know the states that Craig was going to be in. And a lot of writers, I don't think Aliwin is that, but I couldn't judge. He might not be the one in charge of wrapping everything up. a lot of writers, when it comes to wrap things up for a soft reboot, they kill off a lot of supporting characters. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Was Craig going to die? And that's why I said a lot of the From the Ashes books had a time jump. So I did not. So while writing issue 3, I did not know the states of Craig. I hope Jed allows me to say this. Like, when Fall of X was still coming out and we were on Discord, Jed suddenly said, because in I think X-Force or Wolverine, where I think it was Wolverine, where Sabretooth was coming to kill everybody like surrounding Wolverine, and he killed Quentin Quire. Jed McKay was like, did they just kill off Quentin Quire? I have Quentin, like, we just announced Quentin Quire is part of the X-Men on my team. Did they just kill him? Like, what's happening? Like, okay, we'll have to figure out what happens. Like, I have to make it work somehow. And then we now find out later, like towards like X-Men 7, Uncanny X-Men 700, X-Men, that all the dead mutants get resurrected. So that's that. So I also think he had came up with the whole Magneto thing before we found out that Magneto was resurrected through magic and not the resurrection egg. So he has to find a way to make that work. Same thing with Craig. I did not know the state of Craig. Look at those kids suddenly now. I'm seeing one of those kids in NYX as part of the Morlocks. I have to explain that. Maggot. I already pitched that I wanted Maggot. But, the artist on NYX also likes Maggot. So he puts Maggot as part of the Morlocks. I have to explain how Maggot left the Morlocks to come back to the Storm Sanctuary with my character. So there are a lot of things that happened in that handover because we had to start work before the previous era ended work. So people thinking that, I really despise Black love. Like, I live in Nigeria. Probably like 90-something% of all of us are Black. I've never even seen an interracial couple in real life. So I'm surprised why people would think I hate Black love, where all the couples around me are all Black people. So it's a really strange conclusion for people to make. So there are logical reasons to this, and I will not go to break story comprehension because of some things, you understand, like, easily, even if you have issues with the Logan thing, there are comics that back it up. The Eternity thing, a lot of people jumped on it saying that, Storm and Eternity, blah blah blah, he just wants to make Storm OP, and a lot of heat. But there's a comic that backs it up. So sometimes when you want to make like bold steps, it's easier when there's something to back it up. And the very odd thing is that a lot of writers even just take those bold steps, but because they are not newer writer like myself, they get the pass. But for newer writers like myself, we don't get the benefit of the doubt. It's always, incompetence is always the assumed thing. You don't have to prove yourself. So a lot of bold steps that I have to take have to be grounded on continuity. So that's the thing.
I guess for a lot of fans, particularly myself, the continuity that we would have preferred the choice to have been made on was Storm and Black Panther, right? We're going to keep coming back to this because that's what a lot of these people in the chat are talking about. And here's the thing. I remember I talked about the rain. I remember this scene when we talked about, you mentioned Jonathan Hickman as being one of the things that you enjoyed reading or as an influence in Secret Wars. One of the predecessors to Secret Wars was a storyline in New Avengers where the world is literally about to come to an end. Right? T'Challa knows the world's coming to an end, figuratively. Not figuratively, but literally. It's his last day on Earth. And who does he go to? He goes to Storm. He knows he's about to die. He knows she's about to die. He knows the world's about to die. And he says, I asked myself, if I had one day left, if I had just one moment remaining, where would I want to be? I did not think of duty, where I should be, or even my home, Wakanda. I thought of being here and with you. Who would ever known I've been a romantic? I've known you're always a romantic, T'Challa. But when Storm says, you got 7 days to live, or 6 hours to live, or what have you, you're about to die. Your life is on a precipice. It's raining. Who does she go back to? She doesn't go out to T'Challa. She goes to Logan.
She goes to the X-Men.
She goes to the X-Men and she goes to Logan for that.
She goes to the X-Men.
As she always does. She always goes back to the X-Men, though. Like, that's canon. Yeah.
I think for T'Challa fans like myself,
felt like a betrayal.
It is a huge betrayal. Thank you for saying it. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, that's exactly how it feels. You got people talking about black super love, black love. When you have an industry that we all love, right? And you recognize the fact that the only black superhero couple in mainstream comics in an ongoing series is Miles Morales and Starlink. That's it. Check it. You're like, oh, Misty Knight and Sam Wilson, they're not in an ongoing book. Right? Black Lightning's on the stands right now. He's divorced from his wife. They're it. That's one couple out of all the comics that are on the stands. One couple. It's not where you're saying, well, for story's sake, we want to show that the story makes it go in this direction. People don't want to hear that. The fans, black fans in particular, we want to see black superhero love because it doesn't exist. And it's 2024. This should be like normal, and it's not. So yeah, people are up in arms about Logan because of all the guys. Understand, Logan got a lot of bodies on niches on his bedpost. He is a male whore for all intents and purposes. And some people feel some type of way that the queen is with someone who, for I think a lot of people's opinion, is kind of beneath her status as being the number one black superheroine in the world. And she's with a guy who's got kids all over the world. So much so that there was a Wolverine storyline where they brought together like 5 of his kids and he killed them. I think it's crazy. But that's kind of the backlash that you're having to experience. Just to explain.
Yeah, I understand.
You've had to suffer a lot of hurtful statements on the internet, but I think it's coming from a position of people that have, like for me, seen decades of comics, love these 3 particular characters, and actively want, desire, and recognize the importance of seeing black super love in the pages. And this is an opportunity that I feel a lot of people was missed. But I will wait. You said be patient. There's a payoff. And you also said Shango's going to show up. And I kind of got a thing for Shango and Storm, which I keep trying to put that with you. I hope you pull that in there.
We're cooking.
But I just want you to, do you understand the feelings people have on that subject?
Oh yeah, I understand. Even if you didn't explain it so beautifully, I've gotten wonderful emails that have explained it intensely.
And I mean, some people, if I may, some people have just taken this extremely too far. Like, too far. Like, some people are just, I get everything that you're saying, and I echo a lot of what you said as a black man myself. But some people have taken it, it's gotten too personal. Like, we're writing diatribes now. Like, we're attacking people's character. We're talking about people's talents. That's too much. For me, that's too much. Especially when, as you just explained, Murewa, why you chose who you chose, because I'm going to be the objective one here, because I know everybody, people have their biases. I could take Logan and Storm or leave it as well. Like, I'm not attached to it. I was a fan of the Black Panther and Storm. Admittedly, yes, I was. But I've also gotten to the point where I'm not attached to that either. When I look at this story objectively, even from just an editorial standpoint, in my head, I'm thinking, how could she have even gotten to T'Challa? Because of how they have their dynamic as well over in the Avengers. Because then you have to go to Jed. Okay, what are you planning to do with them? If that doesn't align with what Jed is trying to do with them, because I'm trying to set up this dramatic tension, which we're kind of seeing in the Avengers United story, where they're kind of going tit for tat and going back. He's doing stuff over there. Like, there's no way she could have even realistically gotten to T'Challa in that way right now. Even though a lot of us would have liked to see it, I just don't see how it could have happened. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I understand. I understand. It's if
Jed hasn't addressed it yet. T'Challa, when Storm showed up, what did T'Challa do? Avengers 20.
He bolted.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm gonna go check out this dimension. But T'Challa, there's Avengers done here on Earth. Yeah, but there's another planet. There's another planet. Aurora just showed up. You're not gonna agree. No, I'm gonna go through this portal right quick, and I'm gonna save these aliens and start a gang and take over the world. So that's what I'm gonna do. And y'all hang out with the Aurora's cool. You can hang out with her, Aurora. That's what T'Challa did.
Yeah. So it's delicate work, and
delicate work.
We'll see where the future takes us. And honestly, I'm actually okay with people like calling me like a talentless arc and stuff like that. That's even okay. It's sending emails that I need to be fired and stuff. That's like,
but these are fictional.
Calm down,
guys. Like, relax. We will be okay. We're gonna be
comics. It's comics. Someone keeps mentioning. He said there's only one black couple. What I said is that there's only one black superhero couple in mainstream comics in an ongoing series.
Yeah,
yes, I'm aware Misty and Sam are together. Yes, I'm aware of Mal Duncan and Bumblebee. I said in an ongoing series in a mainstream comic. I get that.
Right.
People need to listen. All right, so moving on. Let's move on. We have another book coming out, right? First of all, how did this book do?
Oh yeah, it's been doing incredibly well, and I really want to use this opportunity to thank everyone for their support. Every issue, I think issue 1 made top 10 of the week. But people said, it's because it's issue 1, blah blah blah. Storm books don't do well. Issue 2 made top 10 as well, and I think for the month it was in the top 30, if I'm not mistaken. But it's also, there were lots of repeated books, like Absolute Batman came out a couple of times and stuff. So in my calculation, it's probably around number 25.
Mm-hmm.
And issue 3 as well, especially on Amazon. I think the previous ones were like in the top 5. This one especially was in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure the numbers, but it seems, especially based on the review numbers, it seems to be doing neck and neck with Uncanny X-Men on Amazon, at least. Like, we're really, really happy. We're really, really glad, like, being in the top 3. Like, people are really supporting this series. Like,
yeah.
I think Antoine will give us some more feedback. He's been calling some shops, and they're really giving us good words. So maybe give us that.
Yeah, so Antoine's an entire force of nature.
We did a market analysis because, like we said, Marvel doesn't really share, especially now. Marvel does not. Well, the publisher no longer shares the sales figures like we used to get from Diamond. So the charts that are published now come from a system called Comic Hub, which is a cool system, but there's only 150, I believe, shops that use it in the United States out of the 3,000 stores in America. So while it does present us with something, and it still gives us an idea of what's going on because it's a varied location, excuse me, it's still not a fully comprehensive picture of what's going on because, you know, digital's not included either. But I reached out to a lot of different comic shops across the country, some of the top in various states. I'm talking from New England to Arizona, California, Kansas, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, rather, Illinois, a bunch of different places, because I wanted to know what the book was really performing like on the market outside of these charts and, you know, and these 150 stores. And the responses that we got were really, really encouraging. I didn't talk to one shop on the entire list, and these were hundreds of stores that we were calling. I had a couple people helping me.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to one store that didn't say to us that the book was performing. You know, it was doing better in some markets than others, of course, like all books, but solidly. Of course, Uncanny and Xmen are the, you know, two of the top tier. But as far as the solo books and just the line in general, Storm is right there in the middle. So the book is performing. The book has been doing well. Most people, a lot of shops are sold out of #1 and #2 and had to do reorders for #2 as well. So the book is performing.
Omar Molina asked, does digitals count towards those numbers?
Yeah. Digital counts. So let's if you can't get it from your comic shops because it helps the industry as a whole. But if you can't get to a comic shop based on your location or your country or anything, order online. Get it digital online. It counts.
Mm-hmm.
It counts.
My man Randy Watson of Sexual Chocolate. What's up, man? It's my boy. Says Storm is sold out in Bulletproof Comics, which is the #1 comic book store, the best comic book store in NYC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talked to, they were one of them on the list, and in addition to Midtown and a couple of others. Yeah, we talked to Bulletproof, and they did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, Randy gave you an offer to, I guess, come to the store and do a signing or something like that. What was it that you said? Randy, go ahead and post that again. You gave him some type of offer. Anyway.
Me?
He's excited. All right. So Storm #4. We have the cover again.
And
Mateus Yanahini on the left.
Yeah, sorry. These are proofs that the book is doing well because you can see that we're getting more variants. So that means the budget is expanding. So it also makes sure that when we get artists to join the work, they're also like top creators as well that would give us their top talents and everything. So yes, so let's keep supporting the book. We will see signs, even if we don't have these overall numbers. We'll see signs with this, top 10 of the week, on Amazon, and the number of variants that we have and stuff like that. Yeah. League of Comic Geeks, we see signs of that. We're really improving. So let's keep pushing. We're really doing well, and I'm really grateful for that.
My other favorite of this lot is this one in the lower right-hand corner where she's reading a book. That's dope.
Yeah. I love that cover too.
That was Jessica Chong, I believe.
Is it?
The artist, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Here's another variant. An homage variant.
Mm-hmm.
An homage to Uncanny X-Men 145, which is the first time we see Storm interact with Dr. Doom.
Yes.
Is that significant?
They chose it well because that's also it's the issue that also inspired Storm 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's the issue that starts the 3-story arc that ends with a rogue Storm.
And moreover, it's the issue where Doom becomes obsessed with Aurora.
Yeah.
Is that obsession going to play a part in this upcoming issue?
100%.
100%. He is now God Emperor Doom. He's Sorcerer Supreme. He's feeling himself. And he decides, hey, Aurora,
I want an actual goddess,
How you like me now, Miss Goddess? And he doesn't know she's not a goddess, right? He doesn't realize that she doesn't have her powers.
No, he doesn't know. Like, if you notice that Storm is careful how she tells the bird.
Yeah.
She's like, I would rather not use my, instead of saying that I can't or something, that I would rather not use mine. I don't have a visa, So you can see that Storm too she doesn't lie, but when she wants to deceive, she finds a way to say the truth, but without saying the truth. It's one of those Storm traits. She doesn't like lying, but if she does want to reveal information, she knows how she would say that information. So it's a Storm.
I kind of wish this homage variant on the left, they had done it differently. I mean, I don't care about Sue Storm at all, but it would have been cool to see the roles reversed and have Storm standing with the cup and her holding Doom, and Doom is like flopped over. I thought that reversed.
That they're trying to promote Fantastic Four for the movie one and for the one word of that Doom. So it's all going to be Fantastic Four cast members, not Storm.
I get that, but put Sue Storm on the ground next to the thing, and have Storm holding Dr. Doom with.
Storm is not part of the Fantastic Four anymore.
And I do.
You talk about doing throwbacks. Storm used to be a member of the Fantastic Four, right? That's what it meant.
I was just about to say that I was when they first announced it. Before I knew they were going to do this cover, I was hoping that they were going to lean into when Storm and T'Challa were black.
Right, that would have made sense.
I was hoping. I get this though.
Put the rest of the Fantastic Four on the ground and have Storm be on the cover, man. That would have worked.
Yeah,
that would have ate.
Yeah, I think I also made reference to this in the dialogue in the dialogue by Rogue in issue 3, where Rogue says, Doom is obsessed with women named Storm, Sue Storm and Storm.
This is true.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, look at
that.
So
Now,
this is the dress.
Oro goes to Rogue and says, hey, I'm going to go have dinner with Dr. Doom. Can you give me a dress?
Yeah. So this,
and of course, the dress is green because that's Rogue's color.
That's Rogue's color. Yeah. That's how we make it work. So it's one of those things it's one of those things we're talking about, the flow and storytelling and linking it. It would be nice to see Dr. Doom, that is all about green, pair up with Storm, also wearing green. But why the hell would Storm wear green? Because Rogue gave her the dress. It's all those kind of link and all those kind of things we're talking about.
Rogue is in the bayou of Louisiana right now. How does she have this in her closet?
It's part of the stuff she kept from Krakoa. This was supposed to be Hellfire Gala dress for the next year's Hellfire.
Okay, so you just previewed it here. Okay, all right, that makes sense. That's so. Who this image on the right? Who did that?
They're both by Lucas Wernick. That's the design sheet, and that's it. Comic book by the left.
That's wonderful. Did you have input on the design, or is this all Lucas?
I gave a mood board, but it's all Lucas. I didn't describe, just a mood board, but it went all out. I'm not even sure if my mood board had much of an effect here. He went crazy with this.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like this.
Okay, I'll get to it. I saw it too. So we have to make sure that it's something that looks good on Storm, but is Rogue style. So there were some. He designed more than this. He designed about 4 dresses, and they were all stunning. But the reason why we settled with this was there were some that looked awesome on Storm, but it's like, this is Storm style. Rogue will not wear this. So we had to look for something that would look good on Storm, but you would see that, oh, this is totally Rogue style. So those are the things we were working with. And yes, she has knives. You would see them in the issue.
Good. I need to see the knives. You got a compliment here. Zazel Valentine is one of the chief outspoken troublemakers Bro, you're doing a good job. I hated the choice, but as an artist myself, I can respect the talent shown. You definitely don't need to be fired.
Thank you very much.
All right, sounds like high praise. All right.
And thanks for the super chats.
Yeah.
So the previews. So if people want to take their screenshots, you can take your screenshots now. So maybe you make it full screen or something.
Let's make. How do we do that, Dr. Wizard? There we go.
Yeah. So these are the preview, the sneak peek for issue 4. Yeah. So this is God Emperor Doom by Lucas Werneck. Is wearing a 4 cape. It's going to be a very luxurious dinner kind of setting. So I think we'll go to the next panel now. And here is Storm looking gorgeous in her jewelry and hair, and we're going to have a flashback to her as a child.
Pause.
And
Pause. God damn, she looks good. What?
Yes.
Lucas, what is Lucas doing?
She looks.
We need to show why Doom is obsessed. Who sees this and you are not like instantly in love?
When you talk to Lucas again, can you ask him why is Storm staring into my soul right now?
To all of us.
And in this issue, we officially get Storm's age.
A word?
Yeah, so if you've been curious how old Storm is, you're going to know how old Storm is in this issue. You need to do the calculation yourself, though.
So, chat, here's the thing. I need bets. We're going to take bets.
I love Sozomaika and Jama Campbell. Well, I think they're on exclusives with DC. I'm not sure. But they were definitely people we considered to do variant covers for Storm. They were definitely in my suggestion list.
We're taking bets on Storm's age. I want everybody to post what they believe is their age, is Storm's age that's going to be revealed in the next issue. Post that in the chat right now. How old do you think Storm is? It's an important question because Marvel ages. First of all, it's taboo to ever talk about a person's age in Marvel.
Yeah, so I was shocked when they kind of like allowed it, so which is cool.
Yeah. When Tony Stark turned 40, that was like a big thing several years ago. But then of course they killed him, cloned him, and whenever they want to de-age somebody, they kill them, bring them back, and say, "Yeah, we're bringing them back." Yeah, they were
46. Who said 46? Wait a second. Good.
46.
Understand? Storm turns 50 technically next year.
Yeah, that's true.
But I believe when she joined the X-Men, when Charles Xavier recruited her from Kenya, she was probably around 19, maybe.
So officially, what happened was initially when Claremont wrote the story, he gave her a birthday, and I think it was I can't remember the exact year, but I remember originally he had her as like 24 when she first joined the X-Men, but they retconned that later to, of course, make her younger.
Younger,
so
yeah.
Anybody's guess.
Right.
I will say that last year when Al Ewing wrote Sins of Sinister, when they were about to go into the parallel universe, he did have her age as 30. That was
I think they're going to go with 34. Because here's the thing. It's an important announcement because she was part of that second class of X-Men. The X-Men grew up. Jordan, if you think of X-Men as the Xavier Institute as a high school, they graduated, went off to college, I guess. Then Charles brings in a new class, and he even says in the script, these aren't children like the original class. These are older folk. And you got guys like Banshee and Logan on the team, which are full-blown adults. That puts them past maybe around college age. Peter was like the youngest. So that puts them over 18, which is why I think they retconned it to her being around 19, 20. And you got to figure she's been an X-Men for like a decade.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then she's gotten married, she's gotten divorced. I think she's probably around between 30 and 34 is what I'm guessing.
I agree with that.
I think it's in there.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll find out next issue, Murewa.
We'll find out next issue.
Because that's going to age a lot of characters. Because you'll be able to tell all the other characters' ages based on whatever her age is declared for her.
This is true.
So I hope they don't change like the lettering before it comes out, so they don't make me a liar or something.
Right. Right. On second thought, we're not gonna do that.
I mean, the hardest question is how old is Peter Parker?
Oh, jeez.
Nobody knows how old that dude.
Nobody knows.
As Marvel kept him a teenager and a college student for a long time, decades.
Yeah. But Claremont made it confusing too, the way that he aged, because I feel like at first he was moving way too fast. Like by night, I remember in that issue that we just read of number 145, I remember that it said that Storm had been an X-Man for 3 years already. Now she just joined in 75, so like from 75 to 81, that's 3 years is very fast for that short of amount of time in the comic. Yeah.
Steven Turner asks, how old is Jean with all her deaths? Well, that's the thing. Man, every time they die, they come back younger. Magneto looks like he's 37 years old right now. And that dude's is supposed to technically be in his 90s.
Yeah.
No, I think it does look like the 90s thing.
Now he does. Yeah.
When it was resurrected, it looked super young, but now he's age. Yeah.
All right. Your boy Dotun
keeps killing it with the artwork, man.
He keeps releasing these images.
That's so good.
And this image made me mad.
Because it's the old bakery. It's the old bakery, right?
Well,
with those cakes.
This was the red herring. I'm like, well, I know Storm is supposed to hook up with somebody, and Dotun is Moya's boy, and he releases this image before the comic drops. So,
but this one was commission. This one wasn't part of the promotional ads. It's a different.
I don't care about those details, man. You trying to confuse me with facts and details. Talking about emotions. He's playing with my emotions right now because this picture is so damn hot.
So hot.
Playing with my emotions.
Stuff.
Yeah. Playing with my emotions. It was beautiful. People are asking if he does commission work.
Yeah, this was a commission.
This was a commission?
Yeah. Someone loved the Brutal Storm artwork and said, okay, can you give me the Brutal Storm with T'Challa all sexy with her? Yeah. And like, say no more.
You saw in the last episode, I asked Tom Brevoort to give this dude, your boy, a cover. Like, he needs to be given a cover at least on one of these issues. Can my man get a variant, please? Can he get a variant? I need to see this on the cover of a comic book.
We were working on some exclusive variants, but it's been difficult because like the Marvel, the licensing and the buy-in is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I know. I would love a blackcomiclords variant of Storm. I'm just putting that out into the universe. Except Marvel says we'll be happy to give you that, but it's at this price.
You got to buy like 3,000 copies of it, and I'm just.
Oh, Dotun! Hi, Dotun.
Hey, Dotun, what's up, man? How you doing? All right. Here's what we're gonna get into some of the questions, and we're gonna get a chat. We're gonna get into your questions, but here's some questions we pulled off the web. The omniscient narrator was able to break the fourth wall in Storm's new comic. However, he declared himself to be human. Who is this narrator?
Okay, so I would rather reveal it later.
That's how you know it was a good question. Good job, Hadariya. You made Murewa say, I can't answer that right now. That's how you know it's a good question. You get love from Gail Simone. I'm going to say a thing. I've never seen scripts as complete and compelling as Ayodele Murewa's. A script page usually equals about a comics page. As a rule, it varies. The Storm script I just reread is 65 pages, no filler. What are you doing, dude? Trying to kill yourself? What are you doing?
Yeah, my pages are usually long because I have to have like a mood board, images, and describe things and stuff like that. That's the funny thing. Like some people might think maybe I'm being like lazy and stuff because they don't see like huge text on the books. But I have to, like, because the images tell the story, that means I have to describe more things. You know, like, oh, there's this dead sprite here, there's stuff here and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, that's why my scripts are larger, because I have to describe more stuff. So like, yeah, 65 pages for a 20-page comic.
When you go to sleep, do you like dream up stories and like as soon as you wake up, pull out a pen and just start writing?
No, it's harder than that.
Wow.
It doesn't come easy for me anymore. It's hard. It's really hard. Like,
so you put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. You have to think of the story structure. You have to think of paying homage to like past things. You have to look for cool visuals that are striking, and also you have to think of social media as well. What are cool panels that people can screenshot and share? And you have to make sure those panels have like cool dialogues that don't ruin that screenshot. You know, having the screenshot of the cosmic wheel just saying fall, it's cool. If that screenshot had something like and then it said fall or something, it ruins it. But if it just has one word like fall, it's different, you know. So different stuff. So I can foresee panels that people would want to share, and you try to keep the the dialogue minimum, or the dialogue I said there sharp, and stuff like that. And even in dialogue exchange, there has to be some level of conflict, even if it's small, like Rogue and Storm talking. There's still little conflict. Rogue wants them together, but Storm is like shush, and just a little thing, the Doctor and Storm. I don't treat X-Men, but it doesn't just say that. There's different levels of miscommunication and misinterpretation. Like, oh, do you not understand the mutant physiology? And it's like, dude, I don't have a problem with mutants. It's and put a little humor here and there. The birds just say you have been summoned, I will carry you. You have that conflict and back and forth and all the stuff, and balancing all that and everything, and readability, burying facts inside. It's hard because when you go back to read some of these things, you're like, oh, and it said this here. You start, so yeah, it's. I used to think writing is supposed to be easy. That's I've seen a lot of writers say if it's not easy, then it's not good. That some of the best work that people enjoy are stuff that they just wrote in like a day or two. But I've also seen people like Geoff Jones say that he wrote some scripts like non-stop for like 2 weeks, just sitting on his laptop. And especially Brad Cavan, who is my favorite writer, saying that, oh yeah, writing doesn't come easy for him. So I'm like, okay, I think it's cool if scripts are hard sometimes or most times too, just as long as they are good after, and you try to make it as engaging as possible. And so far, and I hope it continues to, so far I think they work, because in every issue we've had serious conversations. In issue 1 we've had serious conversations on should Storm have done this, should Storm have not have done this, and we have, like, no matter how much you rate the story, if you like give it a 2-star, it's something that we have discussions over and over again on issue 1. Oh, she should have done this, what was she doing, why would she put a whole flying sanctuary over a city? We all know how that ends, and you have all these discussions over and over and over again. And by issue 2, we analyze why this doctor did what he did. Is it correct? Is it not correct? Is it this? Is it that? And you have and issue 3 is here again, where we're having all these discussions, and people are talking about this when there's an actual X-Men event going on, and this seems to be getting more heat, it's those kind of things, and it's.
Would you ever share any of your scripts, Collective Birdie asked?
Yes, I like sharing my scripts, but I'm always worried there are spoilers, so I might wait till maybe issue 7 is out before I can share an issue 2 or something, so that there aren't spoilers, because I try to describe emotional states of the characters and things about the characters that might be spoilers in the future, So
you could actually put it as part of when Marvel puts these comics in sets of 5 and trades. Can you add your script excerpts in the trades? Has there been discussion?
I don't think Marvel can print my scripts. Besides the fact that they are long, I use a lot of images, and they would want to have trade. They would want people would sue them if they use some of these images,
Oh,
yeah. So they would. So imagine how many images they have to go and start looking for the rights to, copyrights to, and all those stuff. So yeah. So that's why I'm totally cool with.
If everybody keeps supporting the book, then maybe one day we could at the very least get a director's edition of something, and they usually include scripts in those. So
yeah, but I'll tell you what, that complicated process that you have, your description of it basically to me sounds like a resume for you to be declared the writer for when they introduce Storm into the MCU. I'm just throwing it out there, man. As Marvel said, from what I understand, I read it somewhere. I don't know. It's on the internet, so it must be true. That Marvel is going to start mutants into the MCU by introducing Storm first, do a Storm movie or something, and that will be their lead into the X-Men. If that's the case,
I can say I have a friend who's kind of on the inside on that, and I that's not uncompletely true. I can say that.
That's not uncompletely true?
I can say that much. There are some things that are being tossed around, some ideas, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've been holding out on us, Antoine.
I haven't. I because you said it first. So
it's the third episode. Dude. All right, man.
Yeah. No, but it's true. There are some conversations that are being had about maybe leading with that. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Murewa, you might want to.
The last episode, I will say that we did get confirmation that Marvel does look at Storm as their Wonder Woman. I'm being quiet.
As they should. People, I asked the question, who should be Marvel's face as a superheroine? Somebody say, "Oh, Jean Grey." Not really. Not really.
Please don't offend the Phoenix fans. We are still recovering from Black Panther fans.
They'll get over it. They'll get over their character dies enough. They'll be fine. I mean, I think Storm should clearly be the face of Marvel's superhero. When they say, "Who's our superheroine? Who's our Wonder Woman?" Mm-hmm. Clearly, it should be her.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't even think that's debatable, honestly. Stellar Bussy, ororospoilers. What do y'all think Jericho's voice sounds like? Now, you did these interesting word bubbles. Tell me what this is all about. What is the purpose of these word bubbles? Because they're different.
Honestly, it's a pretty shallow stuff. I just love when characters have different okay. Another thing people have been saying a lot about this work, both as praises and as criticism, is that the pacing is weird. Some people like it, some people are like, no, the pacing is weird. And people have to understand, I'm not coming from a Western comic book background. That means I have almost equal amount of exposure to Western comic books, to web comics, the vertical scroll ones, and to Eastern comics and African comics. And one of the things I love about all those kind of comics is how they play around with SFX, how they play around with word bubbles and stuff like that. And I really wanted voodoo that is going to be the the mentor figure that's going to be this mystic guy to actually have this dark way of speaking that shows his mysticism, so that his balloons should be different, you know. So I think in issue 2 his balloons were originally white. I was like, please make it black, you know. And I think this is the first book comic where his dialogue balloon is actually black, and I love that. I love that.
I think it works.
I just love that, the visual appeal and everything. It's really cool.
All right. I like the idea of him sounding like a Dementor or something. I don't know. It's kind of strange. This is just some fan art that came out there.
Yeah, we want to start praising fan arts in each episode that we do. We were able to praise some fan art in the last one, so these are some new ones that we have, and especially fan art that I used as like my mood board also, because that's the funny thing. People are inspired by my work, fans, but they don't know that some of their artwork also inspired me too, and these are some of them. So this is one of them, which, yeah, it's there's a, I can't say much about the project, but yeah, this is like an opening image in my head for one.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Damon Hill mentions the cape. That cape is crazy.
It's crazy.
Shout out to Stephen Turner. Thank you for super chat. Wanted to thank Murewa for Revolving Storm's first ongoing around her. I always found the idea her book need to heavily focuses on men she with before she given her own shine a bit sexist. That makes, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, that's part of what we're trying to push, focus on.
Part of rebuilding the characters is focusing on the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm.
I get that. All right. Let's see what else we got here.
So
we have
more fun. Yeah, I love this too. I use this as the cover of one of my scripts. I really like it.
Mm-hmm. It's part of your
retro. Yeah, it reminds me of this guy. I don't know what, Darwin Cook a little.
It does. It does look like Darwin Cook's work.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
And this, yeah, how she grabs the lightning. I use this.
Yeah,
use this. She's going to grab lightning in an upcoming story. Grab it and use it almost like this. Yeah. So yeah, like it's cool stuff. Yeah.
And that classic 90s X-Men outfit.
Yeah.
So
I love that costume. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into. We have a lot of people who had a lot of questions. So
yeah, let's get into the questions now.
Let me scroll back here. I'll let Dr. Wizard handle the questions. All right. So first question, Lady Kerrigan, just here to ask: would there be Life Dream StormWatch 2? Ooh, very good question, Lady Kerrigan. Life Dream is actually a one-shot, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Mm-hmm. And the main writer on that is Angelique Roche. If you would like for us to have Angelique on the show to talk about Life Dream, go ahead and ask her, DM her, message her, tag her on Twitters and whatever the other social media. Ask her, hey, Angelique,
we'd love to have her.
We would love to have you on StormWatch. Please join us and see what she says.
I think that would be great.
The answer is
so we'll see. The answer to that is we'll see.
We'll see. I figure all you writers just hang out together and have your own little social media thing, and
that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people are like, why didn't you ask Al Ewing what's going to happen to Craig? And I'm like, I'm not on like first name basis kind of thing with Al Ewing that we like chat and talk.
It looks like, yeah. That'll probably happen.
Decide.
That will probably happen. All right. So next question: what is hard to decide on the route to explore the more magical, mythic roots and connections of Storm with the unexplored background?
So sorry, I didn't get the question well. To explore.
What is hard to decide on the route to explore the more magical, mythic roots and connections of Storm with unexplored background? I would think that would make it a lot easier because it's so much. It's been a lot of allusions to Storm's mystical background without a lot of exploration of it. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have an open canvas, I would think.
Yeah, I still don't understand the question though, but let me just
what are the difficulties in exploring her mystical background?
Oh, none per se, because it's not being explored. So yeah, like you said. So
right.
And so I could easily, so now I can easily determine what the visuals of our magical power would be, because I don't want her to have this visual that all magical heroes currently have, this thing that Doctor Strange has in the movie, this ring of light kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want her to have that. I would want her to have more like a voodoo, juju, African vibe kind of visuals. So, and that's why I chose Dr. Voodoo as more of a mentor kind of thing. So instead of those characters, I don't have to have that visual. So it's the fact that she's beyond explored makes it easier to be able to channel and direct it. So it's not been hard per se. And I have to be careful because she's a mutant first, not a mystical character. So our exploring magic will be bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit.
All right, next question. Murewa, after her talk with Rogue and the part where she's saying, "I'm sorry, Logan, I think we need to clear if Aurora regrets making love with Logan, or does she can't explore it at the moment?"
I think she's just not in the mental state to deal with it, and that's where the regret is coming from. She's always had a thing or two, either friends with benefits kind of thing or an actual relationship with Logan. So it's not anything wrong with Logan per se, but it's more of a state of mind. Like she said, she's going through something, Imagine you're dying and there's this person you always had a crush on, and you eventually like open up. This is just an illustration. And eventually open up and you and the person get physical and you find out that it's done nothing to you. Like you're still dying, you still feel sad about it. Just because you had sex with someone didn't change anything. You need something different. This is not what you need, and you want to go and look for that thing or just try to live your life. And so that's what's happening there. The regret has nothing to do with Logan. It's all about herself. She's not feeling herself, but she's saying I'm sorry because she had to hurt Logan to try to get better.
It's just sex. It's not making love. Murewa, I have a question about Aurora's knife collection. Does she have a vibranium knife from her time with T'Challa, or a Mysterium knife from the whole Krakoa era?
We'll see a knife collection in Storm 6.
Yay. If she's a true knife wielder, I would expect that she has both and more.
Yeah.
Are these spirits going to be perceived as evil? Because that seems even more problematic coming from an actual African from the continent. What?
Oh yeah, I get what the person means. Like in a lot of portrayals of voodoo, juju, everything, it's usually evil. It's usually portrayed as evil, and people that are actually like worshiping a lot of all these gods and stuff like that feel like there's always this portrayal that we are evil. But if you actually practice these things, you know that in that religion itself, these spirits are usually a collection of different things. There are evil spirits, there are good spirits, and there are nonchalant spirits. Even the orishas, there are orishas like Shopono, that is seen as very evil, that you don't even dare say its name. You have to call, except you want to curse someone, you didn't have to say, oh, Shopono beer, something. But if you want to say its name in a casual conversation, you have to say another god's name, but that god does not exist, but everybody knows who you are talking about. So you now say Obaluaye to talk about that god, even though you're talking about Shopono. And you have gods like Eshu. Eshu can do good and can do bad, kind of the middle ground. And you have gods like Orunmila, who always do, they're always like seen as good. So yes, there will be evil spirits here, but it doesn't mean that I think all those spirits are evil or that kind of thing. So I don't think there's anything problematic about it. There are good spirits, there are bad spirits, and there are mediums, gray area spirits, and everything. So yeah.
Will we see T'Challa?
Yeah, I just wrote an episode with him, but it's more of a cameo. I've not written a proper episode yet.
A cameo. You're not just refuse to let me eat. All right.
No, like it's not. It talks and everything. Like, yeah. So yeah.
Do you know who Lucas is using as a reference for Storm's look? Gotta be one of those brasileiras lindas.
I don't know. I don't know who is using. There's some aspects that we kind of like talk together on to like work on, but the Storm look per se, like how she would look physically, and the black costume were designed before he came on the Storm work. They were designed with the Avengers team, with Storm. So there's some stuff we inherited from the Avengers before we now made our own changes.
All right. Where would you explore the possibility that Aurora is Lucas Bishop's grandmother? That's a good question.
Yeah, I've seen those theories. I think the mystery of that relationship is the cool factor. I don't think stating it would do any good or do any bad, but I think it's more interesting when we don't know. Like that's the cool thing about like time travelers, the mystery. If you know things about time travelers, I think they lose their appeal. It wouldn't affect Ororo, but it would affect Bishop's mystery.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, there was a series called The Life and Times of Lucas Bishop, which basically was the origin story or background on Bishop. And there was a woman who was portrayed as his grandmother, who used to tell him stories about the X-Men, who seemed to have a deep personal knowledge of who those X-Men were. And that grandmother looked a lot like Storm. So the implication is that Storm may have, in essence, been his actual grandmother. If not literally by blood, certainly figuratively. So when people say, well, how come Storm and Bishop never hooked up? That could be like his.
They might be family.
They might be family. So that would be kind of awkward. So that's why Marvel, I think, has probably said, yeah, let's not touch that. All right, Maria, please, it's been bugging me. Can Logan and his superhuman senses hear that conversation from his side of his bed? So when she's talking to I guess the Razor Bill.
I think people underestimate Ororo's endurance, strength, and capabilities. So I think Logan couldn't even hear the bird, not to talk of the conversation.
He was out cold.
He had to wake up, sniff around, and be like, she's gone, huh? Everyone was already awake, cooking pancakes, everything before he woke up.
You just put a visual in my mind that I did not really want to have.
Exactly. But you
actually shouldn't Doom be able to see the death sprites easily and notice the ancient entity has a grasp on her? That's a good question. Good job, Trevor.
the death sprites. It's not about you being a mystic that you can see it. Only necromancers can see it. And Dr. Voodoo I think is the only major necromancer sorcerer. Doom is not a necromancer. I don't think so.
He's Sorcerer Supreme. It's not the Hogan Supreme, which is what Dr. Voodoo is.
Yeah, besides even the Hogan Supreme thing, like another specialty. Yes, there's dark magic, which and all those stuff, but his specialty in the Marvel universe is necromancy. And I think that's Dr. Voodoo's specialty is necromancy, which I don't even think he would teach Storm that. So, and I think he's the only there might be other necromancers, but it's the only necromancer I can think of right now. Like even Doom to be able to resurrect his mother to do some research and extra stuff, but Voodoo is the necromancer, and that's why he can see death sprites is easily. And the hand was only there when they were making the deal. It's not always with her.
That hand looked very nefarious. I'm very curious as to who the devil was, who the deal was made with. Do you ever plan on having another moment similar to Rogue Storm?
That's a spoiler. So next.
Wow. Why not Kurt? She's kissed Kurt, but she's never, to Kurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So not there was nothing to basically explore per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tale, isn't it? It's a tale. It's disorienting. All right. Is it your choice or editorial? I'm guessing this has to do with the Logan thing. Was it your choice, or did someone at editorial, did Tom Brevoort say, you know what, here'd be a great idea. Why don't you put Logan in the book with Storm?
I think I've said the things that editorial told me in the beginning of the series. Occasionally there will be notes, but they're usually notes on correction, oh, I want to use this character, oh, this character is not available, or I want to do this, and they're okay, in issue 2, Storm was supposed to give a blank check, and it's it would be more emotionally resonating if it's the ruby, things like that, and those notes have been great in improving the story. So, but they don't necessarily direct my story. I decide the stories I want to tell. So this particular one, I explained how it flowed. It was just Voodoo helps her. They are in New Orleans. What happens next? And then I had to figure it out. And that's what happened. So it was my choice.
So was it a matter of the note being, here's some characters that would help, get some good eyes on the book. And you said, let me take this character and run with it.
That's the funny. Like I've said often, people think I chose Logan because of sales. I wasn't even thinking of that. The one that editorial actually mentioned very early on was Doom. That one word on that Doom was going to happen. They would like me to, because of the relationship that Doom has with Storm, they would like Storm to play a part in that. So the Doom thing is editorial, but I had to weave it into the story and make some references to previous stuff and determine it. But the Logan thing was me, just from my research, like I said, from X of Swords to going back to research, doing the Greg Pak thing and everything. And also, people always do all these major characters like Spider-Man and all the stuff. They get omnibus that is not just omnibus about the creator, not just Murewa Ayodele omnibus, that they will do a Storm omnibus. And there's a Storm omnibus, they're going to print a lot of Greg Pak stuff too. And so I think of paying off some things that Greg Pak also set up and things like that. So yeah, so it's my choice, and trying as much as possible. Like I said, I consider a lot of things when putting the scripts together. From what if this thing is put in an omnibus with Greg Pak? it should feel like a continuation. What if it's this, and so many other things. So yeah, so it's my choice. I consider a lot of things. That's why that decision was made. It's not particularly sales. There's something that we're lucky with, and I'm very lucky, and it was a coincidence. Is I was like, oh, issue 3 Uncanny X-Men, that should help sales. I'd already written it. I like issue 4 and 5 Doctor Doom with the events. Oh, that should help sales. I was almost like, why is Tom Brevoort suggesting the Doctor Doom thing? I realized that, oh yeah, Doctor Doom will help sales. 6 is an event. It's going to be an event tie-in. There's going to be a major X-Men event. Sorry for announcing it prematurely. I hope I don't get fired. So, but I've not said anything about the title yet. So all those things are helping us. Like as we launch early, there are lots of things that will boost sales naturally. That I don't need Logan to boost sales in issue 3. They've done sales analysis. Issue 1 to 3 of a lot of series usually do well. The drop comes after 3. So if I wanted sales, I would put Logan in 4, not 3.
But you got Doom in 4.
Yeah, I got Doom in 4. So if I'm to be accused of sales or anything, it will be Dr. Doom, not Logan.
Yeah, that's
like we don't need that sales bump like in 1 to 3, a little too much like that. It's the 4, 5, 6 that you need the sales bump.
Doom's a bit of a big deal right now in Marvel.
Yeah.
Jade Milton Gomez says, without being a spoiler question, looking like I don't know what that is. Can you tell us what important role Storm will have in this Doom event?
Doom has plans for the mutants, and we will see how he's about. In some other books, we see how he's about to rise from Sorcerer Supreme to becoming Conqueror of Earth. So in that journey, there are some characters he will bump up against, and one of those characters is Storm, because right now she's the ambassador for the mutants. So with Doom's plan for the mutants, Storm will have to say, sorry, no.
And the other character he runs up against is Blue Marvel.
Nice.
No? All right. Well, I had to throw it out there. Had to shoot my shot. Moria, was Maggot always first choice to assist Aurora? Was Gentle ever in the running for this role?
To assist Aurora, it was an origin. Okay, so I had a pitch Bible, and in my Bible, I said there are some aspects of Storm I want to explore. I've not used all those characters. I might spoil some of them. I said when it comes to a connection with nature, I want these old grannies from the Krakoan era, if they could come up to challenge our connection with nature. I said when it comes to magic, I would want Dr. Doom and Dr. Voodoo to challenge. I said Maggot. I said I have no idea what role Maggot will play. I like Maggot. I'm going to put Maggot in the story, but I have no idea yet. So I didn't have any idea where. So Maggot assisting, the character was supposed to assist Aurora, is supposed to be an original created character. I have the backstory, I have everything. It's been greenlit. But as the story kept changing and unfolding, I've not found a natural way to put in that character. But all of a sudden, by issue 6, an opening came from Maggot. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm bringing Maggot in. I found that role for Maggot. So we are rolling with Maggot. I might still bring in that original character, or Maggot might play that role of that original character. Gentle was not in the running. I'm not sure why. I just think Maggot's powers are more creepy and weird and disgusting and more visually distant than Gentle's own. That's why I picked Maggot. And the way he talks, the way he talks is irresponsible, is everything. Gentle is a good person. It will flow too well with Aurora. And in stories you need that conflict. You need
and he has that
so so I need someone that is silly, almost like a comedic relief, crazy person.
and his 2 slugs can help out with the garden.
Yeah. Probably eating everybody and everything.
And driving her crazy.
Is it fair to expect positive and consistent examples of Black love from the big 2 corporate-owned comic companies that care more about money and about everything else?
Okay, the question is, okay, number one thing, if they care about money, if we pay to see Black love, then they would do it.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number 2 is, which this is me expecting too much, because it's not as if I'm talking to one person. We need to find a balance. Now, a balance between, if we don't say what we need, they will not give us. So we need to actually voice out. But we also need to be careful when we voice out things, because I think if you come off too much as problematic, people just give up in satisfying you. Imagine that spouse that is always complaining. At some point, you just give up and like, you know what, I'm done. Just I'm done. So yeah, so that's the thing. So we need to also balance things up, because if you are rooting for Black love, but also we complain if it's not the Black love we want, or something, and it's like so intense, people might just give up and be like, you know what, all Black couples are single now. It might also be stemming from that also, that if we pair them up with this particular Black person, there's so much complaints, and this person are like, oh, why don't we just make them all single so we can reduce the complaints? So yes.
In short, I mean, what Amora says, yep, you must support Black characters and Black creators with your money to show how much their stories are important to business and companies. That is the only way this works. Absolutely. If you're not pre-ordering comics with the Black characters that you want to see, or of the Black creators that you wish to support, we can't really have a discussion on this topic, because ultimately pre-orders is what makes these companies make their decisions as to who they're going to support in terms of characters and creators. So the issue is less so creators, in my experience, than it has been with people pre-ordering the books in sufficient numbers to get these. Because look, at the end of the day, if the sales are big on Squirrel Girl, Marvel's going to make more Squirrel Girl comic books.
Exactly.
You may think, that's a stupid character, it makes no sense. But if people are pre-ordering Squirrel Girl will get a comic book, she'll get a cartoon, she'll get a lunchbox, and she'll be in the MCU within a year. It's just,
she'll be the Marvel logo.
Asking, why does a evil corporate entity, soulless company care about? If you're saying all they care about is money, if you want something out of that, you got to give them what they care about, and that's money.
Yeah,
it's really that simple.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So next question. Isn't X-Force 6 using Forge, Mystique, and Storm?
No.
Well,
we saw like they were standing. Yeah, they were standing in for like Good Angel and the Bad Angel giving Forge advice.
Yeah.
Oh, 6. Yes, 6. I forgot about that. Yes. There were both of them there. The Good and Bad Angels. Dream sequence type thing. All right.
And the previous one was
the Haitian. I love how you added Haiti not as a trope or gimmick. I've always loved that about Dr. Voodoo, is he has the opportunity to go against the Haitian stereotypes if he has the right writer. So that's cool. Query from Murewa: what is Aurora's opinion on diamonds? I see her mostly with gold.
Yeah, I think she prefers gold.
She probably has some traumatic history with blood diamonds in youth.
Because
Seeing
she's been around the continent in Africa or something.
Yep. Next question.
And I think it pops better on her skin as well.
Murewa, how does Storm sound in your head? Does she sound American, British, African, etc.? Does she have an accent? That's a good question.
Oh, in my head, Storm has a confused accent. Because she, okay, for example, I'm going to write her as a kid, and as a kid, her accent is closer to American. But as an adult, she has more of an African accent.
Right.
So it's based on the experiences she has been, she learns and unlearns, learns and unlearns. So sometimes she would use phrases that are like, oh, you probably heard Rogue say it a couple of times. That's why you said it. Or you probably heard it and this, but she's a character of the world. So it's predominantly the African accent, but she borrows here and there from staying in America for a while now, and also she had American accents before when she was around age 5 and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a complex voice in my head, but it's mostly an African accent that is in my head.
All right. Murewa, was Maggot always first? I think we saw that question already.
Yeah.
We did saw that question too.
Oh
wait, no, we didn't. Go back. I'm sorry.
Doesn't it?
Go back. I don't think we saw that question. Can you go back? Dr. Wizard's trying to find it. But in the interim, are we going to see Forge in this story, in the series?
Right now, Forge is a secret because of the X-Force. They are running secret ops. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows what they are doing. So until that is probably no longer the case, I doubt it.
All right. If you were picked to write a Storm TV show or movie for the MCU, what would be your dream idea pitch for the project?
I don't know. Probably this comic.
That's the best answer, man. Nice. All right. Next question. Is that everything? Is there any chance of Aurora claiming that bird as her official mount?
I think Antoine also said that. Yeah, who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
But Doom will probably be very upset.
Should have to fight Doom for that. Did you take any inspo for Logan Aurora dynamic from X-Men verse Volume 2, 69 and onwards, where Maggot and Marrow and Celia Reyes first join up?
Yeah, I think I said where the inspiration came from. It's mostly from X of Swords, and then I traced it back to Storm issue number 2 by Greg Pak. Before I now saw more stuff. I think there's one. I think there's one where Storm. I'm not sure which of them was carrying a katana or something. Yeah, I don't know, but it's mostly those two. They are more of recent stuff.
Next one. He's searching. He's weeding through some of the comments. Or he's on a coffee break. Thank you for the answers.
You're welcome.
All right. I think Dr. Wizard says you went through all the major questions.
Oh, Lord. That's fine.
All right. Let's see what else we have here. She's a potential polyglot. I mean, she speaks several languages that we've seen. I think I've seen her speak Swahili, Yoruba, Wakandan,
Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Uncanny 383, I think it was. when Claremont had just come back on for the Revolution era.
Yeah, the thing with the X-Men is that Charles Xavier when he first recruited all the X-Men, the first thing he did, the second class, was telepathically get them to all understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
He taught them English via telepathy, and so he could basically teach any of them languages by just rewiring their brain.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason she speaks quite a few languages. All right. That's everything. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, why haven't y'all liked the video? What's up with you? We've been on here for almost 3 hours. Please like the video, share the video. Thank you for your comments. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel so you can see more of StormWatch in the future and other dope comic content from the Black Comic Lords. Murewa, you have any closing thoughts or things you'd like to share with the fam?
Nothing more, just keep thanking everyone for the support. And so yeah, I appreciate everyone's support, and I look forward to sharing more and more information about the series, more and more issues about the series. We have big things planned. You're going to love what we have cooking, especially issue 7 that's titled Serpents, Salamanders, and Storm Gods. So that's going to be an epic one.
All right. We have a Black Comic Lords variant comic with Stranger Comics, which is available. Go to strangercomics.com. Please go ahead and support and purchase that variant. It still has some issues for sale. If you use a 10% disc, you get a 10% discount by using the code BCL in your purchase, and you'll get that discount to you. And please check out our other video series. We had a whole slew of videos, interviews that we did with a lot of characters. We worked really hard on that. Rodney Barnes, our last episode with Tom Revort, was outstanding. Thank you, Maria. Thank Tom again for coming through and answering our questions. Aletha Martinez, Joe Illage, and thank you all for being here. So, with that, we out. Listen, you guys can go. We're going to play a video of a trailer for an upcoming collection that we really hope you guys will support and check out. That's upcoming. If my Dr. Wizard can pull that.
Happy we're here.
Soaking it up, man. This is
it is, and I'm glad you're here. For me, it means a lot that you made your way here, because you know, it's one thing to have. It's a strange dynamic, because I've had so many people come to see the exhibit who are not in our particular space,
right,
and they love it,
right,
absolutely love it. You know, get all type of crazy accolades. You know, it's
as we were just walking around here, people were walking around off the street, looking at exhibits, seeing you, thanking you, saying, "Hey, I never knew about this. Thank you."
Right.
That's real, and to be very genuine with it.
Right.
Because they didn't. That's knowledge they didn't know about.
I thought what you did was loud and quiet at the same time.
Thank you.
Because if you are coming from the historical perspective, you see that.
Right.
But it's quiet enough where everyone feels included.
Thank you.
And we're just happy we got to bring our son to see it.
Appreciate that. That means a lot. And I think too, like when I was telling somebody downstairs, you know, I think the thing about this exhibit that sets it apart is that a lot of exhibits you go to, there's this laser focus mentality.
Right.
So I think there is a laser focus mentality here, but there's branches that go out.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's why it's called collections. Plural.
It's plural.
In Black.
Plural. And it's not just Black characters, Black artists, Black culture, Black moments, et cetera, but those aren't all necessarily drawn by African Americans. But there's still play a part in the experience. You know, if we were
capturing the experience.
If we were to alienate everybody from out of the culture, we'd have no Black Panther.
Right.
And we can argue that all day. We can have people that have those issues with it, but we wouldn't have that. But it's also important to see the interpretation of Black Panther through a Brian Still freeze, or to see it through the lens of like a Ken Lashley, just because of what it means to them. That doesn't mean that J. Scott Campbell can't do a dope Black Panther, because if I said that, I'd be lying.
Right.
One of the greatest Black Panther covers is Black Panther #5,
Right.
with Storm, T'Challa, Shuri. Like, he's captured, everything. But I think it's also that when you love a character, it kind of translates into, into the finished product. But you can also love a character and not be a good artist. So I guess that doesn't count either.
I missed the details before that you had Billy Graham, Matt Baker, Jack Gomez, and Arvell Jones on there. That's nice. It's a nice touch.
Appreciate it. I mean, it's what we do.
Wish I had me a Black Comic Lord sticker. I'd stick it in the corner. For all of you who have the opportunity to go to Pittsburgh by January, highly recommend you go to the August Wilson Center and check out this Collections in Black exhibit. It's phenomenal. It is a collection of if you're into this culture, comic book culture, specifically Black comic book culture, with characters, work by Black creators or various Black characters or books, moments in comics that affect our culture, this exhibit has it. I was blessed to have the opportunity to go check it out, and we're gonna do you saw a trailer of what we're gonna share with all of you in the next couple months. So please take advantage of that. And if you come to Orlando, I think in January or February, there's going to be an exhibit at Orlando Art Exposition that I highly recommend you all check out if you have that opportunity. Murewa, I know it's probably 5 o'clock in the morning at this point where you're at. You're a soldier.
6 a.m.
Appreciate you, man. We're really excited. We are honored to be the StormWatch channel, the StormWatch show host for you. Thank you. And on behalf of the Black Comic Lords, we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me as always. I always have fun.
All right. Dr. Wizard, we're out. Black Comic Lords, we got you.